Kiwikaki. Now these Phoenixes just building up a lot of energy. They could come in useful during the next big fight. They could just come and pick up a ton of Hydralisks or whatever they so choose. Now we do see Zerg missile attacks level 2, flyer attacks level 1, and ground carapace level 2 coming out, as well as the infestation pit and a couple of corruptors on the way. And now the Templar archives is just finishing up. Gonna see if ROOTKiwikaki wants to research that Psystorm. He does research it right away, as well as the ground weapons level 2. So a couple of Templar being warped, and now they're going to be very, very useful against these Hydralisks, and even a little bit against the Roaches. Roaches are going to be able to burrow, and oh my gosh, so many force fields right now, just cutting off a bunch of that army. And ROOTCatz is probably going to lose all this, and I don't know why he ran through that. It's actually not enough to deal with this. These Immortals are just doing so much damage to these Roaches and even to the Hydralisks. But the Hydralisks are going to force this little bit of an army for Kiwikaki to do back up for just a second until he can get reinforcements. Reinforcements will probably be in the way of more and more gateway units, as we see 5 gateways more coming in already, with 5 on the field, I believe, so 10 total. And that is going to be just so many gateways, going to pump out whatever he needs at any given moment. ROOTCatz going to try and come in and take out this gold expansion, but to no avail, as there are plenty of cannons there. As we see, ROOTKiwikaki has the money to just be putting cannons at his expansion, and that is something that you definitely want to be doing as a Protoss player against any Zerg. Phoenix is just being very, very annoying at this point in the game. They're still alive. The original 4 and 1 goes down, but the original 4 are pretty much still alive, and Kiwikaki just making the best out of them. Now we see 13 Mutalisks coming out right now for ROOTCatz. I'm not sure that I agree with this sort of tech, little bit of a tech switch, as there are High Templar out with Storm already, and Kiwikaki has 10 warp gates. He's going to be able to just get in basically 10 stalkers whenever he wants to, as he has banked a lot of money, and he does have a little bit of a gas to spare. Excuse me. But more importantly, the mothership is halfway done. Very, very common play from, not common from anyone other than Kiwikaki. But Kiwikaki, we know he loves to use his motherships against our Zerg buddies. And it is very, very hard to deal with. Actually, Kiwikaki in general is very hard to deal with as a Zerg player. I think that any Zerg player would agree with that statement. And now probably going to try and expand a little bit more is Kiwikaki. But a couple of burrowed Zerglings just making it a little bit more difficult for him. Cat's very, very active about that sort of thing. Now the Khaidarian Amulet is about to finish, as well as this mothership. Probably going to lag the entire screen. This blue giant pillar just raising to the heavens, just calling down. Oh my goodness, that is going to be so great to see. And a ton of Immortals out right now. Any sort of Roach-based army is just not going to do well against this, but the Mutalisk-based army is going to do very, very well. A bunch of Mutas coming in right now. 20 Mutas right now, and they're just killing off so many of the Immortals. Immortals obviously not good against Mutalisks, but a couple of nice storms on these Mutalisks. They're going to be going down. Oh my goodness, that is so many. That is so many Mutalisks that are dying. That is so much gas. And of course the big warp-in of Stalkers from Kiwikaki just to clean this up. I'm not sure why Catz is necessarily engaging right now. Probably just going to lose all of his forces, doing quite a bit of damage actually. These Hydralisks just do so much damage if they're not focused down right away. But another big warp-in of Stalkers, and this mothership is now out. So this a little bit of a push, doing a lot of damage actually, more than I thought it would from Catz, but it is going to be pushed back. And now we see the Hive on the way, as well as Blink for those Stalkers and ground armor level 2. We see a couple more Hydras and a couple more Roaches coming out, as well as flyer attacks level 2 for Catz. He's a little bit oversaturated here at the gold base. Should probably transfer drones over here. He is making those gas, so he probably is transferring. There's the big transfer. And right now Kiwikaki, just sitting on a ton of tech, basically has everything that he could want. The only thing that he could add in to make this very, very strong would be Void Rays, as he did just kill off a lot of the Mutalisks, and there are only a couple of Corruptors in here. And maybe even Carriers, I don't know. It is Kiwikaki, so you never really know with this guy. Putting up a 4th expansion now is Kiwikaki. You see these cannons right here, just going to be able to deter any sort of Zergling run by that should try to happen from ROOTCatz. And when you have a ton of money, that is something that you should absolutely be doing. Now a nice position coming in here. Actually, ROOTCatz getting some nice rounds with those Zerglings, but those storms are just killing off so many, and a bunch of the units trapped in here into this vortex, and the rest of the units are being forced to run away. And no, they're not going to engage there, are they? No, you shouldn't engage there. That is so many units. And now a force field storm going to go down right before all those units pop out, and they take so much damage as they're coming out. They're probably all going to die as these Blinkstalkers can chase them down. And now we see 27 roaches on the way for ROOTCatz, as well as a couple of overseers, because of course the cloaking is such a pain. It's not like in Terran where you can just have a scan at the ready. It's not like in Protoss where you can have an observer that is cloaked. ROOTKiwikaki can really just blink and take out overseers with those Blinkstalkers, and then ROOTCatz won't be able to actually attack any of his units other than the mothership. So he needs to probably take out that mothership. That would be the best. And no, man, not a nice position coming in here from Cats. ROOTKiwikaki has a huge arc coming in right now, and now actually ROOTCatz evens out the nice arc right there, and some nice blinking back, allowing those immortals to actually get in the middle of the fight and do a ton of damage to those roaches. Now 38 Zerglings are on the way, as well as a Greater Spire and an Ultralisk Cavern, but is it going to be in time? There is a huge push coming right at the door of ROOTCatz. He's refilling his army as fast as he possibly can, banking just a ton of money, getting more and more overseers because all of his overseers are dead, and he cannot actually see this army right here. This is his vision right now. That is probably the scariest thing ever. And ROOTCatz, it looks like he does have a nice bit of army and a nice surround right here, as well as 16 Mulists on the way. Not too many Stalkers out. Actually, there are quite a few Stalkers out, but ROOTCatz is just having such a hard time spending all of his money. Really needs to be on top of all of those larva injects. As a Zerg player, that is one of your top priorities, and now building 10 more Zerglings and more units being morphed in. Just a huge fight, but so many Psy Storms, and the mothership is still alive, cloaking all of these units. All of these meters are going down. Immortals just doing tons of damage. Blinkstalkers blinking in to take out the rest of those, and this is a mothership going to go down. One Mutalisk still spawn, and the hero Mutalisk of the day takes down that mothership. But is it going to be too late? Actually, 24 Zerglings and 13 Mutalisks are on their way right now, so we'll see if he's going to be able to actually hold this off. A queen running over here trying to save all of her hatcheries, all of her layers and hives, and all of her children, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. This is such a huge, strong army for Kiwikaki. So many Blinkstalkers, so mobile, and a couple of Immortals thrown in there to deal with the roaches, as well as a couple of High Templar there to deal with any sort of Zerglings and Mutalisks, and a ton of Zealots out here actually taking out a lot of Zerglings. And it looks like ROOTCatz, I should say, burrowing a couple of drones there to try and save them, but it looks like he's just lost too much of his direction. And some nice force fields going down, taking out so many of his drones, and it looks like, let's take a look at the income tab. Actually, 68 drones to the 82, but if we take a look at the actual mining, we see that Kiwikaki has a couple of mining bases up, and ROOTCatz basically has nothing. Cat's gonna try and go for a little bit of a counterattack, but I think at this point he is pretty much dead, and all of these cannons are gonna be forced that GG from Cats. So a very nice game coming in there from Kiwikaki, seeing how strong of a player he actually is against Zerg. He is just so strong, getting up all the tech that he wanted, warping in the units that he needed at any given time, staying on top of getting his upgrades, chrono boosting those guys out, and always making more bases so that he can always have a place to mine, and just making some very nice strong pushes with some very good force fields to really enforce to make his army just so much better when he only has to fight half of the Zerg army. So a very great game coming in there. Thank you guys so much for watching. You can check my YouTube channel out at youtube.com/Firexfredtv. I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks a lot again.